Hey guys, welcome back to Star Wars Timeline. My name is Ben. Today I'm happy to welcome back Roxana Barahona. She's a painter, she's a makeup artist, she does tattoos, and she's a huge Star Wars fan. Roxana, thank you so much for making it. How are you doing?
I'm good. I am so happy to be here again because I love your work and you are an amazing fan. I really admire you.
Thank you so much. And just before we hit record, guys, we're setting up and we're conversation. We're talking about things, and you mentioned about something that you love doing what you're doing so much that it doesn't even feel like work. You don't feel like it's hard work. You're just having a lot of fun. So tell us a little bit about that. How did that come to be? How did you start with your artwork going into the Star Wars territory?
Yeah, I really love my work because I know about a Star Wars saga
Mm-hmm.
for my customers when they were in their free time,
Mm-hmm.
and I really love the passion the fans have with the saga,
Yeah.
and I wanted to be part of that world. And when I started to learn about the Star Wars,
Mm-hmm.
and I really love it. And I started to paint, to sculpt, to everything. And I really love the time that I use for that because
Mm-hmm.
I forget I'm working. So I love to add more and more details and things,
Yeah.
and I need to be quick, and I forget it.
You know, we started talking, just a reminder, guys, who are joining us for the first time. This is our second podcast together, hopefully not the last. We started interacting on Facebook. I saw your artwork there. You were painting your popular Ahsoka Tano painting, and I also saw fan reactions. And we both know how passionate Star Wars fans are.
Yeah.
When they see something that they recognize and it has a very, very special meaning to them, immediately, like, I saw so many cool comments. I think you posted it on many different groups, like Star Wars
Yeah.
fans and this and that. And in each one, like, fans, oh, this is amazing, this is fun. You're absolutely right. Star Wars fans are such passionate, and we love to show it to others. Like, look how much we love Star Wars. But Roxana, when you're not painting, how do you enjoy passing your time? What do you enjoy doing besides painting?
Well, I need to, I really enjoy to learn about different things.
Hmm.
For example, mechanics or philosophy or
Hmm.
different. I like to question everything in my world,
Hmm.
and that's my passion because
Yeah.
I love to teach,
Yeah.
not just about my art.
Hmm.
So exchange knowledge about life,
Hmm.
and I'm. I think I am a old soul.
I know the same. You know, it's funny that my mom used to call me that too, even when I was in high school, because, you know, when they give you school program, you got to learn about history and physics and chemistry. Sometimes your heart is not in it. You feel very down. Like, if you're
Yeah,
lazy, you don't want to do it. But then when you graduate and you go about your adult life, you start doing work, and then your attention comes back to, it's like, hey, I'd like to do something else. Here are my working hours. I spend it there. Then, you know, if you have a partner or a loved one, you spend some time with your family. But then you have to have some quality time with yourself that you like
yeah.
to do. I personally enjoy watching a lot of, I binge watch a lot of shows. I read a lot of books on world history. Like right now, I just started my next book on the ancient Egyptian history, which I absolutely
Wow.
love. Yeah, I love that kind of stuff. But as far as entertainment goes, like, are you catching any shows lately or movies that you've seen that you enjoyed?
Well, the book of Boba Fett, I really love it. Yeah, because they added Tuscan riders,
Yeah.
and I really love the way they show the clan or
Hmm.
the weapons
Hmm.
when
The
they are
gaffy sticks, right?
building.
Those traditional weapons that they have.
Exactly,
Hmm.
when they're building or trying to work in their weapons.
Hmm.
I love that the cinematics and the colors and the palette, and I'm so happy waiting the Ashoka Tano saga or
Yeah,
series.
her show is coming up. There's so
Yeah,
many shows being
yeah.
announced, and I know there's a
Obi
whole
Wan.
army. Many. There's like Ahsoka. There's Kenobi show, which is about to
Yeah,
come out. There's like Andor Cassian, right, from the Rogue One show. His show is coming out. There's so many different announcements. Yeah,
yeah,
because when you and I spoke last time, the Book of Boba show of the Book of Boba Fett was about to come out, and we were talking about our excitement. Hey, what are you looking forward to? And now that we're recording, I wanted to ask your opinion on it. It seems like you enjoyed it a lot, right?
Yeah, I love it because I I love how Star Wars add female characters,
Yeah.
And the partner of the main character, she was so tough,
Yeah.
and I love the way that they share their responsibilities and build that companion or that how do I say,
Like partnership. She was really as strong as he is. We're talking about
so
Fennec Shand, right?
so equal.
Yeah.
And he's a tough guy, but he breaks that usual feeling towards their females characters, and I really like that.
Yeah, he definitely respects Fennec Shand. You're right. I really enjoyed her in the animated show when they put her in a Bad Batch. You see the cartoon version of the character, like, okay, that's interesting. And then we saw her in the trailer, and I was wondering, hey, how are they going to use her? And I enjoyed her parts because, you know, Ming-Na Wen, she's a awesome actress. She's also very physical, right? She does her own martial arts. She was really cool to see. But you know what I'm checking right now? I decided to kind of like put Star Wars a little bit on the side for a moment. And there was one show that I really wanted to see. It's way back in 1999, came out, called Farscape. It's like a science fiction show about a person. He's traveling through space. I'm like, okay, let me check out some older stuff.
It's really interesting when they talk about the time travel.
Yeah.
Because talk about science and quantum physics. Something I like about Thor, the Thor series.
Yeah.
Because they talk about that.
Did you see the new trailer?
Topic. Yeah.
What do you think about the Natalie Portman's outfit? Like, she has a helmet that covers her face, and she has like a very unique armor about her.
It's so interesting, but we are in a world with some fans that don't like to see women like that, and I need to wait to see how they react about her work.
I think most fans are going to like it. You know, it's funny. When I used to work in a comic book store, I obviously knew about the female Thor, that Donald Blake's girlfriend. That's the character, Donald Blake. In the comic books, it's a human a man, right? And then Thor lives inside of him. And then he has a relationship with a woman. And then you see female Thor as well. It's comic book fans, it takes a little bit of time. And then they get used to a new idea. And then that idea, when I translate it to a movie, it also takes time. It was my observation. Sometimes fans are like, oh, you know, it's not because it's just a woman character. It's just people like their things the way they remember them. You know, original Thor, he's a Thor guy. Like, for example, nobody would want Wonder Woman any other way. She was a girl character right from the beginning. That's what people like to see. Sometimes I notice with fans, especially with Star Wars fans, they're so passionate. It's like, hey, don't change my favorite character.
Yeah.
That's what I like to have.
It's really hard to please a Star Wars fan. Because they just love or hate. They are not.
It's not in between, right? It's either passionately love it or passionately hate it. I absolutely agree with you.
Just Jon Favreau. I think he did an amazing work
with Mandalorian, with Boba Fett. Yeah. So you are excited about the Kenobi show. The question I had to you, now that we're going into full Star Wars conversation, as a fan, what would you personally like to see in the Kenobi show? What is the most important thing to you?
Well, I need to learn more about that because I when a customer come to me, I learn about the things that I'm working.
Right.
But I need to learn more about that. Sorry if I have not all the information or things or the topic so developed.
No, you know, it's fine. Just literally yesterday, right? I'm preparing my questions for our conversation. And one of my fans on my Facebook group, we start conversation. And he tells me one detail about the Star Wars, which I didn't even know. I've been living it all my life. Like, I learn every single day. You know, if you keep yourself humble and you're your mind is open, you're ready to learn. There's so many things to learn. Whether you became a fan yesterday or like 20 years ago, it doesn't really
Yeah,
matter. It's the world is super large.
yeah, yeah. But I want to learn.
Hmm.
I did a painting about his this character,
Hmm.
and I think he is a very iconic character, and I need to learn about his history
Hmm.
before, because I don't want to mistake or forget anything important.
Yeah.
So sorry for that.
No, I'm so happy that you mentioned it because, now that fans who are listening to this podcast and also your clients, people who come to your social media and they ask you for a commission, they like to do a painting. I think everybody's interested to see that the artist knows the source material, that you
Yeah,
know what you're painting. It's not just, Ahsoka Tano, let me just Google a little picture.
yeah,
I think when I looked at your art, and it's not just Star Wars, your other fantasy art that I looked at, you put so much thinking and heart and soul into a painting. When you look at it, it's more than just a pretty picture. You know what I mean? Like it feels like there's a
thank you.
story there. And that's what separates just like from a cool artist from somebody like yourself where people like check her things out. I want to have her painting on my wall. Like there's an extra added interest from people.
Yeah. So if you're if you the if your followers are angry with me because I don't know about that character, please send me the information, and I'm so happy to learn more.
Yeah. I started my YouTube channel trying to focus on positive things. I hope that most of my audience are the guys who are like, hey, Roxana, if you don't know something, let us help you. They're welcoming,
Yeah.
and kind people. Roxana, I wanted to focus on this topic today in the beginning and talk a little bit about inspiration for an artist. And I wanted to start with this first question for you. When you need a reference, let's say you're working on a particular painting, whether it's Star Wars or something else, and you need a reference, you need to understand how the character looks like, or you need to find the proper location, or how certain armor looks like, or maybe it's a spaceship. What media do you like to use the most? Do you Google pictures? Do you go to comic books, or you look at the TV shows, or maybe even just watch Star Wars movies?
Well, I Google all the information, and
Hmm.
I search for videos and comics, all the versions of the character, because
Hmm.
I need to do a mix of everything.
Hmm.
But I like to interview my client or my customer,
Yeah.
because I need to to capture the feelings that he sees in that character.
Yes.
if if he or she admires the character, if it's important in his life
Hmm.
as a grandfather or grandmother, something like this, and I do that mix and try to draw everything that I see for my client, for Google, for videos, and the colors. I mix about that.
You read my mind. I kind of wanted to go deeper a little bit into that question
Yeah,
and ask you something that's more specific to an artist. When let's say somebody asks you to paint Obi-Wan Kenobi with his lightsaber, which is right the blue color, and it's casting on his face, and I want to make sure that the scene takes place at night, right?
yeah,
So it means you need to have proper colors, you need to have proper light hitting his face. Even for stuff like the source of light or the color blue, how the blue falls in the character's face. Do you like find still pictures and do you pin them on your computer or on your device?
yeah.
And as you paint, do you actually reference? You look at the picture as you paint?
Yeah, I like to see everything that you see. I like how you talk about images,
Hmm.
because you think in a very artistic way.
Hmm.
The colors, the reflections, the lights. I really love that. I need to to meet you again when I have an artistic problem issue.
Yeah.
I will call you. Well, I have to admit that I have I missed a clue one day when I paint an art for the armorer.
Hmm.
It's a blacksmith female character.
Hmm.
I just searched for images
Mm-hmm.
about her, but I missed to record her voice
Okay.
because she was so elegant and a little. Her voice was so a little dark,
Mm-hmm.
and when I paint her, the colors were so bright, and when I painted, I I searched for her voice, and I was, oh my god, I did a mistake. I need to
Because it was a
change
very
the
important
colors.
detail.
Yes, because
Mm-hmm.
her voice was more darker. I don't know how to say loud,
Like a deep voice, right?
deep voice.
Uh-huh.
Yes, and I painted her using bright colors. And
I
oh
see
my
what you're
god,
saying.
oh my god, I needed to change the colors according to her voice.
I follow you because it's if I understand correctly, what you're saying is
Yeah,
everything in the painting needs to represent that character. So if you
yeah,
paint a dark character with a very happy kind of like background, unless it's intentional, it's exactly what you need to do. Sometimes it doesn't read right because you also, just
exactly.
like with a book, you're telling a story. It's like, hey, this is my story here. With a one canvas, with one painting, you have even less space and less opportunity because you need to get it the first time. A person
Yeah,
has 1 second, he looks at the painting, it feels right or it feels wrong. But
yeah,
you're still telling a story. It needs to be in character. It needs to be right. There is so many paintings that you see on social media, like famous Star Wars writers. Today, I was actually doing my small video on my channel for a famous Red Guard. They are these elite red warriors that protected the Emperor in the Star Wars movies,
wow,
right? And when I
wow,
look at every painting, there are these famous artworks by Dave Dorman, which is like one of the biggest Star Wars painters. When you look at this stuff, it's always dark background. It's always
yeah,
very dramatic poses. They're holding your weapon. So he's telling you a story. So even if you
yeah,
never watched Star Wars, you never read that comic book, you sort of get a feeling, an idea what that character is like.
exactly. And I forgot to take time to
Hmm.
listen her voice and adapt the colors to the painting. And
Yeah.
I learned that lesson for the first
Hmm.
for the first sorry, for the next art.
It's fine. I mean, it's always a process. For as long as your professional career lasts, there's more opportunity to grow, more opportunities to learn. When I spoke to the legendary Greg Hildebrandt,
Mm.
the gentleman is over 80 years old. He has a 60-year-old career, and it's so amazing to hear when he talks about art. Hey, I learned a little bit of. He's just like you. He's excited about. He's like
Yeah.
a little boy. Give him a pencil, give him something. He's like, oh, he
Yeah.
starts learning. I think it's the best quality in artist, where you never feel that you reach the top and now you know everything. There's always
Yeah.
opportunities to learn. Roxana, my next question is a little bit tricky, so take your time if you need to answer it. You spoke earlier that Star Wars fans are very passionate, and I agree with you. And it's that love that Star Wars fans, they know exactly what things look like. If you make a small mistake, small little detail, they automatically know. I wanted to ask you, in your experience painting Star Wars characters, what is the hardest thing for you to do, and what are the things that come to you naturally and they're very easy to do?
About the how I paint
In
the
general, anything like when you work with a Star Wars character, what is always the thing that you struggle a little bit? It's the hardest thing for you to paint.
well, I think the search the information.
Yeah.
For example, Captain Rex,
Hmm.
he changes his armor throughout Colonial Wars or different things.
Yeah.
And the first time that I painted him, I I realized that I have mistakes,
Uh,
and some fans came and say that that armor is different in
mhm,
in that chapter of
mhm.
the Clone Wars. And oh my God, sorry, I didn't know. So maybe it's not the technical things, the difficult ones,
I see.
but the information about the the building of the character, the armor, the even the scars, because they say in that chapter he hadn't that scar, and
Wow, they pay attention to everything, right?
it's really hard for me because I need to be humble and say I don't know a lot about that character,
Hmm.
and please tell me if you see a sketch and I have a mistake,
Hmm.
please help me. But I don't like that they came angry with me because I have the open door for people that want to teach me too.
Of course. Again, it's
Yeah.
it's an amazing quality, and it's something that I picked up right away when you and I we started doing our first podcast. We started talking. You're a humble person. Your mind is always open. It's like, hey, if I don't know something, I made a mistake here. Please show me. Please
Yeah,
teach me. And
yeah,
I think you're absolutely right. I often forget so many details because when you read so many books for so many years, you start losing details. You can't pick it up and,
yeah,
and keep it all in your mind. Sometimes when somebody asks me a question, it's like, hey, Ben, do you remember this? I have to go and Google. I have to find out this
yeah,
information and get back to a person like, hey, listen, I sort of kind of remember, but there's so many details, I get lost in it sometimes. Once again, it speaks
exactly.
to just how vast a universe Star Wars is. They have been developed. It's almost 50-year-old franchise, right? Not almost. It is
Yeah,
50 years old. It is
yeah.
so big, and there's so many things in it. So I understand it's not the technical aspect, but there's another question that I had in terms of style and execution and how you work on your paintings. My professors in school, when of course I was just learning to draw, we did figure drawing, I draw live
Wow.
models, and my professors told me, look, study classics and copy as much as you want. This is how you
Yeah,
learn. This is one good way to learn. Don't worry about that, you're going to start looking too much like Michelangelo or Raphael. Just look at what has been done before. It's valuable information, copy it, and then you can start doing your own thing. So my question to you is this. Are you ever directly inspired by Star Wars artists, as famous Star Wars artists that sometimes you Google their painting and you literally say, huh, this is a really beautiful use of technique or brushes or very interesting color palette. I'm just going to copy this painting and study this way. Is it one way that inspires you?
well, believe it or not, I like to do a mix of Star Wars art with science fiction artists.
Ah, okay.
For example, I like to find for Geiger
Mm-hmm.
from the
Aliens, yeah, yeah.
Alien,
Mm-hmm.
and bring his palette from Star Wars.
Interesting.
I like to do a fusion of that things
Mm-hmm.
because if I just see the another artists from Star Wars, maybe I feel like I'm a copycat,
Uh-huh.
and I need to bring the things that I like from the other series and things and anime and Japanese style
Mm-hmm.
from the art, and do that kind of um, how do I say
Like
it's
style, I guess.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. So I like the color, the palettes from
Mm-hmm.
Geiger.
He is awesome. His paintings are
Yeah.
always so dark. I assume it's horror fantasy painting, right? Because he's always like
Yes,
these
it's
shapes.
science fiction with horror.
Yeah, and like he always has human forms and human shape like embedded, put inside of the
Yeah,
machine. It's like all these tubes and cords are coming out of human
yeah,
bodies, like
yeah,
pregnant women. It's really grotesque, really scary stuff.
yeah.
Because I started learning about Geiger when I came here to America. Obviously, like when I was a kid back home, everybody knew alien movies. The alien creatures and jump out of you, it's scary. But then you go back to the source and you look at the artist who created that. And you say, okay, that's how they got the visual style of the movie, thanks to this artist. So it's a very interesting idea that he actually tried to mix it with Star Wars. Have you ever seen paintings where people take Japanese art and they paint like Darth Vader, like a samurai? He has a real samurai sword.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
that stuff.
Exactly. It's that to integrate or bring
Hmm.
things from another cultures from Star Wars.
Hmm.
I have an idea to bring some uh, Asian culture too,
Hmm.
and create the characters like samurais,
Hmm.
because I saw once an art from Dark Vader, and
Hmm.
I really love that painting.
Yeah.
And the way that they create the character was amazing.
Yeah. Me and my brother and my friends, we all love the like martial art movies and samurai movies. So every time we see an artwork like this, we'll always have to show each other, hey, look, man, this Darth Vader. Or sometimes they do like a stormtrooper also looking like a samurai. This is really, really great stuff. Roxana, again, talking about inspiration, but now from a different perspective, different angle. I imagine sometimes you just feel burned out and you feel tired, of drawing the same thing over and over again. How do you find your new energy? Do you like stop painting and put that stuff on the side and do other project, or you just look and search for different ideas but not paint? How do you put more energy into your work?
Crying. Yeah.
Really?
Sometimes I get so stressed that I cry, and when I am crying,
Yeah.
I go to the upper place in my soul,
Hmm.
um, and I find there the inspiration. It's a little creepy
Right.
sometimes, because if you don't have the if you are not careful, you can be a little depressed.
Yeah.
But I like to search throughout my soul when I
Hmm.
am in dark times,
Hmm.
and I get that inspiration. I don't know. I don't know why I am so self-destructive, and when I am so tired about
Yeah.
work, but I like to do a search in myself, and
My
that.
father used to tell me that my father is a self-taught artist. He never went to school for it, but he tried to paint and sculpt a little bit. He always told me before I started going to art school that artistic people are very, very sensitive, very vulnerable. They love to live on an edge of a knife, if you know the saying. It's like everything
Yeah.
is extreme. Everything that you experience, even the way that you talk about art, like that you need to understand the details and what this character is feeling.
Yeah.
You want to carry emotion. Our artists are very extreme people, and it shows in your
Yeah.
work. Like when people look at your painting, again, it takes you 10 seconds. You look at the painting and you say, wow, there's so much feeling, so much information, so much energy coming from it.
No.
I don't think if you weren't a passionate person, your painting would be of the same quality. All the
Thank
famous
you.
artists, right? Like from Pablo Picasso to everybody.
Yeah.
When you look at their life story, it's always rocky. It's not just one smooth line. Hey, I lived my happy life there, and I created some of the most amazing artwork in the world. No, it's always like that.
Yeah, because when you are in your dark times,
Hmm.
you search for light, and you you want to capture the most important things in the world, and from that ways your soul back again to work. And sorry if I am my English is so bad in this
It's
moment, because
perfect. I'm getting everything that
the
you're saying.
feeling
Yeah,
is complex, even
yeah.
in Spanish, my language. And so I like to visit my soul in the dark times.
I think it's a complex issue in any language. Sometimes there is a barrier where the words stop and you just can't simply express sometimes what you feel.
Yeah.
And once again, coming back to the canvas, or sometimes for a filmmaker, it's a piece of cinema, it's a movie. If you can't speak your mind, if you can't express yourself, you have to pour it out and you have to bring it out and it comes into your artwork. You know what I saw? It really surprised me, and I was just like stunned. And this is how we started our conversation. About like, hey, let's do a second podcast. Please come back. I want to speak again to you. I saw you painting Star Wars figures, and it blew my mind. I'm like, oh, wait, she doesn't do just traditional art and paintings. She paints figures. So for me, please correct me if I'm wrong. It almost feels like you were experimenting a little bit and said, like, okay, I do paintings over here. Let me try something different now. And you started painting the. Well, tell me a little bit about that experience. How did you come up with the idea?
Well, a customer came to me and told me that he um, buy a Pong Krell
Mm-hmm.
figure, but he wanted to add some color, and I told him I never have painted a 3D print,
Yeah.
and he was so relaxed and just try, just do the experiment.
Mm-hmm.
And I really love the process of paint a 3D art,
Mm-hmm.
because it's more complex, but you can add the reality. The shadows are different,
Mm-hmm.
and I really love that kind of new art.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to do sculptures and everything. I fall in love with that world,
Mm-hmm.
but I know I am learning.
Yeah.
So I paint that art, the first 3D figure, and another client from Florida, United States,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
asked me for the Bad Batch, the whole
Nice.
Bad Batch figures.
Oh man, I love Bad Batch. I love those characters. I love Omega. I love all of them. Like I can't wait for season 2. They're saying like they're supposedly May 4th or something like that. They're gonna make an announcement. Once again, like when I saw you just painting that, and actually also one question that I had, I'm thinking to myself, if it's a 3D object, right? You can stand it in a room. It's not canvas. You can stand it in a room, and then the light hits it, and then you get to see shadows. But do you also have to paint shadows as well on the character?
Yeah, sometimes,
Mm.
because are more drama to the figure.
Mm-hmm.
If you just use the normal or the traditional paint without shadows,
Yeah.
it looks like if you buy it on, sorry, Walmart.
Makes total sense. Yeah.
And there are amazing figures in Walmart, but I want to add the drama or the movement to
Mm-hmm.
my paintings,
Yeah.
and I want to do the same on my 3D art.
Mm-hmm.
So I add some spots of, of painting, the blood, or the I don't know how to say, the broke
Scars or
armor,
bruises.
the
Yeah.
scars.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. I think, yeah, it kind of separates what you go outside and you buy that is mass produced, obviously, to something that's handcrafted. It obviously justifies the price. You put a lot of hard work for it. That's why you're able to sell it to a client for X amount of money. But they also feel like, hey, this is not just a figure that I bought from somewhere online, Amazon. This is hand painted from an artist that you could go and check out their website and check out their art and their talent. And I'm pretty sure the way that you paint figures is going to be very different from the way others do.
Exactly. That's my point, because there are a lot of artists that just use the color
Yeah.
just like the character from the series.
Mm-hmm.
And if another artist came and do the same, well, there's no difference.
It would be boring pretty much.
Yes, and I need to add that different that the strokes that like that just my that identifies my work as an artist.
It will be Roxana's signature. Like people look at just at
Yeah,
the paint job and they say, okay, that's
everything.
definitely Roxana.
Yeah, everything crazy and the color.
Yeah. Passionate. Are you familiar with other popular miniature paintings? Like one of my favorite franchises that I recently started learning about is a Warhammer 40K.
Yeah,
And you
I
see, when you
have.
go to YouTube, you see whole families, like fathers and their little daughters. They're
Yeah.
sitting and they're painting those figures. And each and every time it comes out different.
Even some days ago, Henry Cavill
Yeah.
from Superman,
Mm-hmm.
he says that he paints Warhammer figures.
Mm-hmm. There's so
For
many different actors who starred in Star Wars who are also big fans. One of the fans, the older gentleman, the British actor who portrays Moff Tarkin, Peter Cushing, right? That's the one with the cheekbones, the skull. He was a huge role-playing fan game back in the day. Him and Christopher Lee, the actor who portrays Count Dooku, together they used to come and participate and play all these role-playing games. It's such an old, passionate fandom there, where people take miniatures or sometimes the small soldiers or medieval knights and they paint them. That stuff fascinates me, and I was really happy to see that you started doing that stuff as well.
Yeah, thank you so much. I am so excited, and I know that I have to learn a lot about that. As I told you, it's difficult to do a painting because the characters change, and to paint a 3D figure, it's more difficult. Yeah. But I like the challenges.
That's nice. But let's talk a little bit now, not Roxana as Star Wars artist, but just as Roxana as Star Wars fan. There's actually a couple of questions that I kept from our previous podcast that I didn't get the chance to answer you because I wanted to ask so much. So I wanted just to come back and talk about, you and I, just like two Star Wars fans talking. And I wanted to ask, was there anyone in your family or circle of friends that you share the love with Star Wars? That like, hey, let's go watch this episode, or what do you think about this character? Anyone in your circle of friends or family that are also huge Star Wars fans?
Well, my older brother, one of my older brother, he was a fan. He started painting Star Wars art, and I admire him a lot. Yeah. So I just remember things. When I saw Star Wars, I remember him. So it's so familiar. It's so warm for me to do that kind of art now. And my husband, he knows a lot.
Really? That's awesome. That's great.
When I don't know, when a customer came to me and said, I would like that you paint Echo from the Bad Batch, and I don't know anything about. I asked my husband about that.
Yeah,
he's my Bible,
encyclopedia, right? When it comes to Star Wars, that's awesome. That's really cool. You mentioned that you saw the Boba Fett show. You saw the whole thing?
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you. You said you basically enjoyed it, right? There's a couple of characters that were introduced in there. Some of them were taken from comic books. Some were entirely new, like those young cyberpunk kids, on the motorcycles. They were very different and interesting looking. And then you had this black Wookiee, Dark Chrysanthemum. He's very menacing, very big. Then we had these two Hutts. When you looked at all of that stuff, what do you think is the most interesting about a new Star Wars show? What kind of characters do fans remember? What characters do you remember the most?
From the new additions?
From a Boba Fett or any new Star Wars kind. I guess let's focus on the book of Boba Fett. Like when you look at
when?
Yeah.
From the male fans?
Yeah.
I like how they talk about her.
Yeah.
Because it's that to think different about women.
Yeah.
As a character.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the female character from the team of young sorry, I don't know the word.
The street gang, the young girl who's like, she almost looked like she was the leader of the pack.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I love her too. And I think it's really interesting. I would like that they developed her character throughout another series.
Yeah, I think, there was a little bit of criticism that I and some of my friends discussed because after the show was over, we sat down, we talked about it. We basically, all three of us had a similar opinion that the show was okay. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great either. And part of it, because, everybody tries to do their best as the filmmakers, directors. They try to please all the fans. Sometimes things just don't come out the way you want them. We just felt that some of these characters that were interesting looking, like Chrysanthemum, the Wookiee, and the girl that you mentioned, and also Ming-Na Wen, Ming-Na Wen had a lot more development than other characters, but there were a lot of characters that would show up in an episode and then you never see them again.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of stuff we wanted to see more of. Like, hey, if you're going to introduce somebody like that cool girl, show us more. Give us more story.
Yeah, for example, the I don't know if it's correct to call her a friend. The woman that repairs Mando ship.
Yeah. The lady.
Is,
the lady in the fixer, right? I forgot her name. She's like the tinkerer. She has her own garage.
I forget her name, but I think he's a good character. Maybe it's the connection between Mando and Boba Fett now, and even Grogu.
Yeah.
And it could be interesting to do more, to add more information about her.
Yeah. I loved her as a character.
3 worlds. Yeah.
Because before we see her, obviously, in the Mandalorian show, but now this is Boba Fett's show, and we see Mandalorian show up.
Exactly.
It made sense for her to be there, and she's just so sweet. She's so adorable. She's like, "Oh, come on, the baby, you get me send the baby," and then she's like riding with the baby all over the place. All that crazy action is happening. She's one of the characters that I really enjoyed myself. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
My next question is also for Roxana as a Star Wars fan. You know, when they announce new Star Wars shows, when they show that there's new books coming out, new movies, there's always a lot of promotional art that they release. Sometimes it's a poster, sometimes it's just a still shot from the movie that's going to come out. What do you find is the most exciting thing about promotional art when you see it?
Well, I really love when they do the trailers.
Yeah.
And I love because I take a print screen of all the art and the ending of Mandalorian and the ending of Book of Boba Fett.
The credit ones, art. Right? When the credits roll.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I collect every picture of the ending because it's amazing. If you see the different styles, it's an inspiration. Because I love in video the trailers and in a picture the endings of every series.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. I think, and you're not the only one. Like, so many fans talk about it, they recognize it because they would enjoy the episode, and then when they watch the credits, all of that arc. Sometimes it's also the music that's so good, and you hear the music, you enjoy that, and then you look at the images too.
The music is so powerful with the in the ending. I always see all the credits in the ending of every chapter for the music and the arts.
Mm-hmm. Roxana, when you watch a new trailer, right? Obviously, we all don't know what the story is going to be like. Like when the new Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer showed up, we're like, oh my God, what is it going to be like? Everybody's excited, but we don't know the story. You, as somebody who's going to later on probably paint a lot of the stuff from the show, do you start like looking for characters? I think she will be requested by fans. She looks interesting. Oh, this character's coming back. He's a potential thing for me to. Do you think in that way?
Yeah, all the time.
Really?
For example, when I saw Grogu, I immediately know he will be iconic. I need to paint a lot of it about Grogu.
Yeah.
And it was true. And now about Ahsoka, she is loved by all the fans.
Yeah. I think she's one of the biggest characters to come out of the Clone Wars television series. That even the guys who were teenagers back in there, like, oh, who's this teenage girl? We don't want to see it. They all grew through it and they all came to love it. And I was like, no. She's very important. She's part of Star Wars. We need to see her back.
And I'm waiting now this new series for that to be to see who will be the character that will take all the attention.
Yeah.
For paint or for create my art.
Mm-hmm. Did you like how Rosario Dawson portrays much older Ahsoka Tano in The Mandalorian, in the Book of Boba Fett?
Sorry.
Did you like how the actress Rosario Dawson, how she was portraying Ahsoka? Right, she played the character in the Mandalorian show,
Yeah,
and then she plays her in the Book of Boba Fett.
I think she does amazing work because she looks so wise
Hmm.
and elegant, but strong. Her face and the way that she see the other characters,
Yeah.
it's so. I think she does an amazing work acting like Ahsoka.
Yeah. I love Rosario Dawson. I always loved her work. But when they said she's going to play Ahsoka Tano, I was a little bit, I don't know how to feel about this. And that's
Why?
only, I'll tell you why. That's the only reason is that she's too famous. She's too recognizable. Am I going to see Rosario or am I going to see Ahsoka in that character? How's it going to work out? And the moment that you see her on screen, not a question of like, yeah, that's Ahsoka Tano. Like Rosario Dawson disappears and you get to see the character on screen.
Yeah. And that's a really hard thing to do, to create another character and forget the actress.
Yeah.
And that's really hard. And I think she's an amazing artist.
Yeah, she's awesome. I love every small or big role that she does. When she showed up in the Daredevil show, I was like, oh man, she's so cool. She plays like a little friend of Daredevil. And now that I think they're putting those shows on Disney Plus, they did announce they're going to continue these shows. I can't wait to see it. Maybe she will come back as well. She was really, really awesome in it.
I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah. Roxana, but something else also happened with this new show, Book of Boba Fett. In Mandalorian Season 2, at the very end, something very, very special happened. Fans got to see young Luke Skywalker come back. And he has a big action sequence. Then he comes and he says this little Grogu, he needs training, I'm going to take him. But some fans had criticism, myself included, that unfortunately that CGI effect just wasn't very well done. And then we see it, surprise, we see Luke Skywalker again in the Book of Boba Fett. And again, Mandalorian brings the little Grogu here, and now they're training. What did you think about the second version of Luke Skywalker?
I always like that work of CGI.
Yeah.
And because I know as an artist that it's really hard to get that effect. And maybe as a viewer of a spectre, how do I say that word?
Like a ghost?
Yeah, for people that doesn't work or don't work in art,
yeah,
it's so easy to say, they would improve that thing, or maybe
you say spectator,
lights.
Like a spectator.
A spectator.
Yeah,
that word.
Mm-hmm.
It's so easy to talk about that details, but when you work in this, it's really hard to get what they got in that first Mandalorian art. And in this second version, I think they listen the fans and change small things.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm as an artist, I'm happy with the work for that reason, because I know it's hard to get that effect.
You appreciate it more because you understand the amount of work that goes into it.
Yeah, I know there are things that need to improve.
Yeah,
but I recognize the work that they did.
It's I wholeheartedly agree with you. When I was studying animation, you get to appreciate how much of hard work it is to create something, and not just talk about it. I could have done better. Try it. Try doing it.
Try it.
But at the end of the day, for us as audience, as much as you want to appreciate and praise the artist, what you see is what you see. And I remember seeing Luke Skywalker in that scene. It just didn't work. It's not to be malicious or blame the artist. It just doesn't work. It is what it is. It looked fake. It didn't look like a human being.
Yeah.
But then when we see it in the Book of Boba Fett, and we see, first of all, it's a beautiful planet. There's a lot of green stuff, and there's forest, and there's a grass. It's such a peaceful, calming environment. I don't know why. I was thinking to myself, if Roxana would be painting this part right here, right now, she would really enjoy it. Because just, you know what it was? It's the feeling that I get of looking at your painting or anybody great work of art. to that scene. It puts you in a very, very calming mood. And then when you see Luke Skywalker in that one, I felt like a 6-year-old. I almost cried. I'm like, oh my God. It looks right. It looks like young Mark Hamill. It sounds right. It looks good. Obviously, you still tell like, okay, it's 90% there. It's not. It doesn't need to be 100%. The point is, the feeling was there now, and he's training the little boy. He's like, Grogu, calm down. I was like, oh my God! Like I'm telling you, I almost like started crying. It was so well done.
I was in the same mood when I see that that background.
Yeah.
And if you see my phone, I have tons of screen captures of every detail because I needed to understand where the magic was. To see the color, the music, the screen, the story, everything was amazing. And when he appears in the Mandalorian, I really forgot everything about the mistakes.
It looked,
because it was so dramatic and so amazing to see him again. And in that scene was amazing. I really love that.
I think one point that I could point out, like you asked a question, what is so magical about that scene? You know, to me, one thought that came to mind is you have this Jedi Master and a young boy, and what are they talking about? What is the subject matter for that scene? They're talking about this magical thing called the Force. And as he's teaching Grogu, I think visually the film language was inspired by a lot of samurai films and Japanese filmmaking, where Luke is sitting down and the boy's sitting down, and there's just wind passing through the scene. And it's rustling the trees, it's rustling the grass, and that wind kind of gives you the feeling there's kind of a spiritual power in this place.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like. And I was looking, I was like, oh man, I was a total nerd. I loved it so much.
It was like doing a yoga session.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Roxana, here's a hypothetical fun question for you. Let's say Disney contacts you tomorrow. They said, look, Roxana, we love your art. We would like you to create a brand new concept art for a completely new Star Wars story. And we give you all the freedom, do whatever you want. What type of character do you think you would like to paint? And what kind of background would you choose for them?
Well, I would like to maybe paint something with the background of Tatooine.
Tatooine?
Yes. And something similar to Tusken Rider with a hybrid of Boba Fett.
Ah, okay.
The two faces.
Like combining together?
Yes. Like a ghost or monster in the desert or something like this. I need to think because the question gave me a lot of ideas now. My mind it's running fast, but something like that. I think that could be an idea.
You know, it's really, really interesting. I did not expect it, to be honest with you, that you say Tatooine. I'm kind of imagining that you really liked that episode when Boba Fett, he's captured by the Tuskens and he's with their families and the children are running around and they're teaching him the culture. He has to go and get the weapon. It was such a special moment because what they showed you was, yes, it's a fantasy setting, but they're showing you world culture. They're showing you that these people are not barbarians. They're people. Yeah. They have customs. If you want to become part of the tribe, you have to work hard for it. You have to go and get your own weapon. That particular episode was my favorite.
Because I think what I like about that moment of the main character and the Tusken Riders was that the union of the cultures. Yeah. And I think Star Wars talk about that topic throughout all the series, about the difference between people and the world and his world, that world. And I would like to send that message of people united in a
That's
same
awesome.
body.
Yeah. That's interesting how you frame it, how you put it. Yeah, it's always been the story of Star Wars is always about a clash of cultures, and then how people have to come together and work to a common cause, to a common goal. It's a very powerful message.
Yeah, I think they like some days. Someday I'm going to sketch that idea, and
Yeah.
I will send you.
Oh, that would be amazing if you
Yeah.
like sketch it out. If you like come up with this, oh, that would be amazing. I'll put it like on social everywhere, like my Facebook, my YouTube, so people fans get to see it. I'm telling you, we could talk about Star Wars without end. Before I ask you my last question for today, and we'll wrap things up, Roxana, once again, thank you so much for joining me. It's always a pleasure to speak to a Star Wars fan, but it's also a huge pleasure to talk to an artist who creates Star Wars art.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here with you, because you are a person that understands the world as a fan and as an artist.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of fans just see the just one layer of the saga,
Yeah.
and you see everything that it's in the building of that, the music, the colors, the feelings, and I feel so happy to be with another person with like you.
Thank you so much, Roxana. I appreciate it. I'll tell you a tiny story before my question. The reason that I started getting into that kind of stuff was when I got my first Star Wars DVDs. This is even before Blu-ray. When just they started doing, oh my God, Star Wars is coming out on these high, DVDs, which was much better quality than VHS tapes. And I was looking at it. It came with a lot of extra added material, like behind the scenes, the making of, the blue screen, how it's made. And there, I'm like, I'm 19 years old, I'm 20 years old. Now you saw the movie, and now you really want to know, how did people put it together? What needed to happen? There's so many artists involved, so many writers, executive producers, so many people involved how this thing is made. And I started looking at all of these DVDs extra. It became a passion of mine. Any movie that I would buy on DVD, whether it's Batman or Planet of the Apes, after the movie is finished, I immediately have to go to extra bonus materials and try to check it out how it was made. Roxana, so my last question for you is also the fan versions part of Roxana, right? We talked about Star Wars here. We just touched a tiny little part of it, but we understand it's a huge, huge story, and there's many different types of story in Star Wars. You have young Ahsoka Tano, which is a story of coming of age of a young girl who's trying to become confident in the world and attain certain power. You have love stories like Anakin and Padme, a love that was not meant to be, that ends in this tragedy because this boy becomes selfish and he wants to protect something that he loves, but in the end he becomes a villain. You have stories like Han Solo, who is this gunslinger, cool-looking pirate guy who thinks he's better than anyone, but then he joins the fight and he joins the good guys because he understands that they need help. What is your personal type of story in Star Wars?
Wow, because they talk about a lot of interesting things.
Yeah.
But I like the development of the story of Padme.
Padme?
And sorry, the couple.
And Anakin Skywalker, yeah.
Yeah, because it shows the how an ambition, if you don't have if you are not careful,
yeah,
can destroy you. And I think that's the most important lesson in your life.
Yeah.
To be passionate about a thing, but don't forget that line between good and evil. You need to be so careful in your life.
Yeah.
To avoid to change that that path.
Yeah.
in the life.
My
English is so bad here today.
No. Trust me. Look, I know you're getting to the heart and soul of the subject. Like I'm getting everything that I need to understand. Trust me, I understand perfectly well. I think what you're saying, it's also the love of Anakin Skywalker and Padme is a whole generation of Star Wars fans grew up with it. The prequel fans who were children, like in the early 2000s, they grew up with this. It means so much to them to seeing how a good person, a fundamentally good person, turns evil. And it's like I said, it's such a powerful message. But you know what's funny? With Padme, we see her in 3 films. She's a prominent character. She's a big figure. But I love her even more in the Clone Wars show. Because in the Clone Wars show now, it's in the movies, she is with Anakin. She tries to help Anakin. It's always centered around their relationship. When you see her in the Clone Wars show, it's her doing her job. She's like, I'm a senator, Anakin. I can't be around here all day and sit and do nothing. I have to go out and help. She goes to different planets. She helps different friends. She even encounters her ex-boyfriend, and Anakin starts becoming jealous. It's such a powerful story because now we see a story that is around Padme and not just Anakin. It's not, it's important that happens between the two, but it's also her now. It's centered on her, and I really love that.
Yeah, I'm agree with you because you understand better the character and her love.
Yeah.
When you see her day by day, it's better. But I always like the history of Anakin and his change to the evil path because it's a reminder of the ambition of the warning to be so have the intelligence to choose all your battles.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you have see an anime called Death Note.
I am on the first season right now. I'm about 13 episodes into it.
Yeah, I don't want to do a spoiler, but the main character is a young boy that wants to change the world for good.
Yeah.
And when he started to trying to change that, to change the bad things in the life, he becomes an evil person.
Yeah. You can already see it. I think the whole show is like 40 episodes. I'm about 10, 13 episodes. I already start seeing it. I'm like, oh man, this guy, he thinks he knows it all. He thinks he's smart. He's got it covered. He got this ultimate weapon. Whatever name he writes, that person gets. It's such an amazing anime. Like when you watch it, you can't stop. Like, oh man, I need to see the next episode. What's going to happen next? Because you follow the story with him, but you already know where it's going to go slowly. He's going off the path. Yeah, it's interesting.
And that's so hard for every human.
Yeah.
Because all want a good things, but the way that you get all the good things, that could be dangerous.
Yeah, because we're not perfect. Nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, on this note, we're going to start wrapping up. Roxana, once again, thank you so much for being here. I love chatting with you. We're going to put all of your social links in this video description so all of you guys could go and check out Roxana's art. If you guys want to order a print of your beautiful next Star Wars painting, Roxana is to go to because her art kicks ass, guys. She does really phenomenal work. Hopefully we get to chat again. I'll find an interesting topic for us to discuss. As always, guys, thank you so much for checking out our podcast. We really appreciate your time. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel. Please check out all of Roxana's links, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care, everyone.